Gittin Daf Tet Hamud Aleph, Rumors and Facts, Yatzala Shem. Once again, the shiur today is sponsored by an anonymous sponsor, for which we're grateful. As I've mentioned, it enables us to get the shiur out to many different people around the world. And as I've said, I feel very grateful to those who help us through sponsorships of different forms, but I feel particularly grateful for the people who are here every single morning. Reb Chaim Shmulevitz used to say to us that one of the things he dreads about Olam Haba, about the world to come, is that you can't share anything there, you're on your own. And one of the biggest pleasures in life is when you've discovered something to tell somebody about it. It's suffering, it's terrible to discover something new, to see something that you hadn't seen before, nobody's seen before, and to have nobody to share it with, nobody to talk to about it. And he worries, and I thought later, I don't know why he's so worried about it. I think in Olam Haba there are no chidushim. I don't think there are discoveries. In Olam Haba, you spend the rest of eternity developing the ideas you developed when you were in this world. You don't have new discoveries when you're in Olam Haba, so maybe there's no reason to have that need. But that was, he used to say, that was something that in Olam Haba you won't have. And I think to myself, each morning I have the zchut of discovering such beautiful things in each daf of Gemara, and what would happen if I didn't have people to share it with? And to have people, like, immediately, as I finish preparing, I get into my car and come to the Beis HaMedrash, and there we've got a group of people ready to share it. So I'm very, very grateful for that. There was a difference in educational approach between the Brisker Rov, and I think it was Rabbi Zalman. Rabbi Zalman used to say, I give a shiur every day, whether or not I've got anything new to say. The time for the shiur comes, I give a shiur, that's the discipline, that's the order. The Brisker Rov used to say, if I don't have anything new to say, I don't give a shiur. The only reason I give a shiur is if I have a chiddush, I have something new to say. And in Brisk, that used to be, there was a bit of drama around that. Is there a shiur today or isn't there? Nobody knew until the last minute, is there going to be a shiur today or not? Because if there's a shiur, it means the Brisker Rov had a chiddush. But I think it's a bit of a combination. I think the fact that you're all here every morning, with Mesirus Nefesh, you've made a sacrifice to be here early in the morning, every day of the week, that creates a siyata d'ishmaya that enables me to be sure, because I'm mispalel to the Rebbeinu Shalom almost every morning. Give me something, make sure I have something to tell these people, make something to make sure I have something that can enrich their lives, that can make a difference to them. They're taking the effort of coming. And likewise, the people who listen to the shiurim around the world, they invest time and effort to listen to the shiurim. Certainly those who help us sponsor the shiurim, make sure that I've got something. Don't embarrass me and don't cause them to waste their time. Give me something to share with them. And Baruch Hashem, virtually every single morning, just amazing, beautiful things, and today is no exception. What we're looking at today is how rumors work to damage reputation. What is reputation? Reputation is an assumption. We've often talked about assumptions, that we are free to make assumptions. We don't know the facts. Most of the time, in most areas of life, we lack information about real fact, what's really happening. We don't really know. Even in scientific areas, we have theories, we have theses. We don't always know, we don't have facts always. And we make assumptions about what reality is, and certainly when it comes to interpersonal issues, we make assumptions about people. Reputation is an assumption that so-and-so is a mensch. A reputation is an assumption that so-and-so is a decent person. Rumors can damage those assumptions. If I know for a fact that this person has done something terrible, then of course my assumption's blown. I can no longer assume that he's a mensch. But what happens if they're rumors? I don't know anything for sure. They're just rumors. Does that change my assumptions or doesn't it? I'm free to make what assumptions I want. And in so doing, we're going to discover an amazing difference between two sets of assumptions that Rabbi Yoshe ber Soloveitchik is mechadesh in the Rambam, as two sets of assumptions, one that gets damaged by rumor and one that doesn't get damaged by rumor. One is a cheskat heter and the other is a cheskat kashrut, and we'll talk about the difference between them. It all revolves around this whole sugi of Gemara. The piece that we're focused on is Rava's din at the top of Peitet Amud Aleph, that yatzala shem mezana be'ir ein choshishim la. If a woman, now there's a difference between the way Rashi, Tosfos and other Rishonim learn and the way that Raavad learns, and we'll understand that. But the way Rashi learns is, if a woman is married to a Kohen, and there's a rumor that she's been having affairs in the town, we don't take any notice of it. How would we take notice of it? We don't make her get divorced from her husband on the basis of rumors. That we don't do. But if her husband were to die and she would want to marry another Kohen, the question is, do we say, no, you can't marry another Kohen? All these rumors that you had relationships with non-Jewish people, with people who passel you for kahuna. And we don't know the facts, but to marry a Kohen, that you can't do. It says Rava, no, we don't worry about it. We ignore the rumors. That's what Rava says. And then the Gemara says, Ketanai. This actually is a machlokes tanoim, where we have different views. We have the view, we're talking about a case, achla bashuk, girgara bashuk, hinika bashuk. A woman who behaves loosely in public. And we're talking particularly about a woman because a woman is highly sensitive to reputational issues. That's why the whole Me Too movement was so important, in that the damage to a woman's reputation is serious, and the Me Too movement turned it around and started focusing the reputational damage on the men who until then were pretty insulated from the reputational damage of inappropriate behavior. But the women were very damaged by it. And so we're talking here primarily about women. If there's a woman who just behaves loosely in public, she eats in public. Interesting. She walks in the street eating in public. It's not a feminine thing. It's not an isur. We talk about an ochel b'shuk. It's not a good thing for a man to be doing either. But it's certainly not a feminine thing. Girga, she walks in a flirtatious way. She attracts people's attention. These are things that are not sneeristic. They're not things that increase her Jewish femininity, the idea of a kvod bat melech pnima. But kulan, in all those cases, Rabbi Meir says she should get divorced. That, again, according to Rashi, that means if she remarried a Kohen after her Kohen husband died, and while her Kohen she was married to her husband, the Kohen, she was doing all these inappropriate things, or even before she married him, then she can't remarry another Kohen, is what Rabbi Meir says. And according to the Ravid, what Rabbi Meir means is if the man wants to divorce her on that basis, he can. She's behaving inappropriately. This is not rumors. She's actually behaving inappropriately in public. She's not having affairs, but she's just behaving inappropriately. If he, the Kohen, wants to say this doesn't work for me, or even if it's not a Kohen, then that would be okay. Rabbi Akiva balvana. There were women who used to get together to weave at night. They used to have night workshops for weaving. They had night shifts, and these women would get together at night and then they would weave and they would gossip in these situations. If these groups of women started gossiping about this particular woman, that's when we get worried. That's when the husband's entitled to say her reputation is really damaged. Look, women are saying that she's not only behaved inappropriately, but that she's actually acted inappropriately, possibly even had affairs. Just rumors, but everybody's talking. Now, if the husband wants to divorce, he can divorce. In that case, you're not allowing any married woman to stay married, any Jewish woman to stay married. Says Rashi, because yesh oyevim motzim kol bechinam beremez muat. Everybody has enemies, and they're willing to put out rumors with the slightest little provocation. And you're going to say every time a man can divorce his wife because some woman somewhere started a rumor, or a group of women are speaking badly? Well, you can't take such notice of rumors, says Rabbi Yochanan ben Brocha. So these are the three views, and we've got Rava's Psak Din that says we don't listen to rumors. The way the Ravid explains it, the Ravid wrote notes on the Rif, similar to the way he wrote notes on the Rambam. And we have the Ravid's notes on the Rif at the back of the Gemara. And the Ravid says what we're talking about here is if a man comes, if he comes to the Rav and says, do I have to worry about this? People are talking about my wife. We say, no, you don't have to worry about it. Not necessary. And the Ravid then goes on to ask a question which the Ritvo and others also ask on Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. But don't we have a din of Elu Yotzot Shelo B'Ktuva Averet Hadat Moshe V'Yehudit? We have a din that if a woman behaves inappropriately, that she gets divorced without a ksuba, says the Ravid. Rabbi Yochanan ben Brocha is not saying that you need witnesses, because Rabbi Yochanan ben Brocha says without witnesses you ignore the rumors. Ask the Ravid, but we have cases where we see a woman doesn't get a ksuba if she behaves badly in public. Says the Ravid, no, Rabbi Yochanan ben Brocha means that it doesn't mean there have to be witnesses that she had an affair, and if there aren't witnesses that she had an affair, he cannot divorce her. That's not what it means. It means there have to be witnesses that she's behaving inappropriately in public. That can't just be a rumor. There'll be people who say, we've seen it, we know it, how she behaves in public. And then if the husband says, look, I'm not happy, am I allowed to divorce her on this grounds? Then the answer is yes. And it emerges, according to the Ravid, that Rabbi Akiva is the most severe of the views. Rabbi Meir says we don't take note of rumors, but if she behaves inappropriately in public, that's grounds for divorce if he wants to. Rabbi Akiva says even if they're just rumors that she's behaving inappropriately in public, that's grounds for divorce. And Rabbi Yochanan ben Brocha says no, they've got to be actual eidim, they've got to be witnesses that she did something inappropriate in public. And Rova paskins like Rabbi Yochanan ben Brocha that we don't take notice of the rumors, there's actually got to be witnesses. That's the important thing to know. Rova is psak like Rabbi Yochanan ben Brocha that we don't take note of the rumors on their own. Asks Rabbi Yoshua ber Soloveitchik. It seems from Rabbi Yochanan ben Brocha and from Rova, we don't take any notice of a rumor because we need evidence. You can't just have talk that she's a zonah, that she's behaving inappropriately, that she's having an affair. But asks the Rabbi Yoshua ber, in what way is this different from kiddushin? At the bottom of Daf Peches Amud Beis, we've got the case where there are rumors that a woman got married. People weren't at the wedding. People don't know exactly what happened. She's not a woman that's well known. But people are talking in the town, did you know that the Rochel got married today? Oh, really? So that's all we know. We must assume from that moment that she's married. That's what the Gemara says based on the Mishnah. So you see, even though Kiddushin is a davar sheba erva, it's something that needs edus, that normally would need edim. As Rabbi Yochanan ben Brocha learns in our Gemara, that just as you need edim in matters of criminal activity, so you need edim in matters of sexual impropriety. And Kiddushin is a matter of issues between men and women, and it involves doraisas, it involves laws of the Torah. Surely until you have witnesses. Now we know that there are witnesses at the wedding, but we said the other day, witnesses at the wedding are not there to give information in the event that there's uncertainty. Witnesses at the wedding create the wedding. They actually create the kiddushin. But what about if there aren't witnesses? We don't know whether or not she got married. The story is this woman got married. We say, okay, we've got to assume, we make an assumption again. The reputation, she has a reputation of being married, so we make an assumption that she's married. Ask Rabbi Yoshua ber, if that's the case, then why does Rabbi Yochanan ben Brocha not worry about it here too, where she has a reputation that she's been acting improperly with other men? Why don't we give credence to that rumor, the same as we do to the rumor that she's become married? Answers Rabbi Yoshua ber, an amazing thing. An ordinary woman, just an unmarried woman, she is becheskat heter. What does becheskat heter mean? She's permitted to be married to anybody. Rochel lives in the town. She's come out of a Beis Yaakov Sem. She's the daughter of a fine Rov and Rebbetzin in the town. This woman can marry whoever she wants to. She has a cheskat heter. Then there's a story that was mekudeshet. There's rumors that she's married. Okay, now she can't marry anybody except the man that she's rumored to be married to. So the rumor changes her cheskat heter. The assumption we make that she is muteret, the assumption that we make that she is permissible to anybody, that assumption is removed by the rumor. So we don't have witnesses that she's married, we just have rumors that she's married. That's enough. The rumor is she's married, so somebody says, can I introduce Rochel to my son? The answer is no. They say she's married. And then the person might say, do you know she's married? No, I don't know, but there are rumors that she's married. You can't introduce her to her son. It removes from cheskas heter, says Rabbi Yoshua ber Soloveitchik, but not from cheskat kashrut. But when it comes to what we're talking about here you're talking about a young woman who has a cheskat kashrut. She's a kosher woman. This idea of a person being kosher, particularly a woman, as we'll see, it's not only by women, that kashrus is not only about a piece of meat, or about a butcher, or about a restaurant. Kashrus is about human beings too. A person can be mutar. Am I allowed to marry a Jew? Yes, mutar, you're allowed to. Am I allowed to marry a Kohen? Yes, you're allowed to. That's a cheskat heter. Cheskas kashrus is much more than that. Am I held to be a proper person? Could I marry a Kohen? Could I marry a Kohen Gadol? That's a different level. Cheskas kashrut, rumors don't change. At Cheskas kashrut, an assumption about a person's kashrut is much higher than an assumption about a person's heter, about a person being permissible. It's Cheskat kashrut. What does a Cheskat kashrut mean? So we have a Mishnah in Brochus where Tevi, the servant of Rebbe, slave of Rebbe, died. Rebbe sat shiva. And they said, but apparently we're not supposed to sit shiva for a slave because people will think that he's a Jewish family, and then they'll think his children are Jewish. You've got to make a difference between avodim and ordinary people. So why did you do that? Answers Rebbe, Amar lahem, Ein tevi avdi kish'ar ha'avadim. Tevi, my slave, is not like other slaves. Kasher haya. And he uses the word kosher. He doesn't say mutar, or he doesn't say, he says kasher haya. He was kosher. Now, there are two different interpretations as to what Rebbe means. The one is the Melech Shlomo. The Melech Shlomo is a 16th century Yemenite Talmud Chacham. A Rav from Yemen who came to Eretz Yisrael in the 16th century, and in Eretz Yisrael he learned with Reb Chaim Vital, the Talmud of Reb Moshe Cordovera. We've spoken about that era, and he learned with the Shita Mukubetis, the same as the Ari learned with the Shita Mukubetis in Egypt. The Melech Shlomo learned with the Shita Mukubetis in Eretz Yisrael. So he was a big Talmud Chacham, and he says on the Mishnah, Perush shelo haya gazlan ufarutz kishar avadim. He wasn't a thief. And a porut, somebody who misbehaves or behaves inappropriately, that was not Tevi. Tevi was an Adam Kosher. He was what level? Is he saying he was a tzaddik? No. I'm not saying he was a tzaddik. I'm just saying he wasn't like other slaves. That's why I said shiva for him. Says the Tiferes Yisrael. Now we jump to the 18th century and Ashkenaz. Melech Shlomo is the 16th century and a Sephardi, and the Tiferes Yisrael is 18th century and beginning of the 19th century and an Ashkenazi. He says, Kosher hoyo, the Talmid Chacham v'roi lismoch haya. Kosher doesn't mean he was okay. Kosher doesn't mean he was average. Kosher means he was a Talmid Chacham v'roi. He could have been a Rov. He could have been a Rosh Yeshiva. As the Gemara says in Yuma Daf Pei Zayin, it was his bad luck that he was born to the descendants of Cham, and therefore he was an Eved. So he had the descendancy of an Eved. He was of the race of Avodim. And that had certain halachic implications for poor Tevi. But he was a Talmid Chacham. This was somebody who could have been the Rov of a town. This is somebody who could have been a Rosh Yeshiva. Ulahachi Kovod Torah Adif, and therefore it's Kovod Torah. I have to sit shiva for him. Even though there are reasons not to sit shiva for an Eved, for this Eved I have to sit shiva. You see from here what the word kasher means. Kasher means a whole lot more than it's okay. Kasher means it's fit, it's proper, it's elevated, it's a much higher level. And so says Rabbi Yoshua Soloveitchik, when you've just got a cheskat heter, something's okay, something's permitted, you don't know anything about it, just making an assumption. Rumors can damage that. You thought it's okay, the rumors are not. You think she's an unmarried girl, she's becheskat heter, she may marry anybody. The rumors say no, she's actually married. So the assumption of heter is taken away. You can't make that assumption anymore. But when there's a cheskat kashrut, this is a young girl who's assumed to be from a good home, and there are rumors that she's misbehaving herself. She's got a cheskat kashrut. That you don't take away very easily. Cheskat kashrut is much stronger. And that's important to know even when it comes to kashrut. It's interesting that the Rambam paskins all of these laws, isurei bi'ah, all of these sexual laws, the Rambam paskins not in Hilchot Ishut, not in the section of halacha that deals with women. He paskins it, he brings it in an area of Rambam that only has 3 sections. Hilchot Kedusha, Sefer Kedusha, in the Book of Sanctity, where we deal with Shchita, Kashrut, and Isurei Biyah. And based on Rabbi Yoshua Ber Soloveitchik's Chiddush, that makes good sense. Because in this matter, we're not talking about Isur Veheter in the normal sense, we're talking about Kashrus. We're not just talking about a woman's relationship to her husband and to other men, and we're actually talking about Kashrus, the Kashrus of a person. Because when a person's kosher, that gives that makes certain assumptions about the person. And that's important, even in laws of kashrut. You're talking about there are rumors that a particular restaurant is not okay. There's rumors that a particular shchita is not okay. Does it have a cheskat kashrut? Is there reason to assume that not just that it's okay? If there are reasons to assume that it's okay, you might have a vegan place that doesn't have a hechsher, doesn't have a cheskat kashrut. Maybe it has a cheskat heter. As far as we know, they don't use trefa vinegar, and they don't use cheese, and there's nothing, there's a cheskat heter. We can assume that apart from issues of bishul akum, one can assume that the food is kosher. If their rumors are heard that they do this or that damages the chazaka immediately. But what happens if there's a cheskat kashrut? There's a place that has a good hechsher, and it's known to be kosher. It has a cheskat kashrut, and there are rumors about it, based on what we've learned, the rumors don't damage the cheskat kashrut. That doesn't damage the assumptions of a place being kosher. If it's really kasher, in the true meaning of the word kasher, like Rebbe uses it in Masechta Brochus, that this is kosher, that this is really fit for a king, fit for a Talmid Chacham, that a rumor isn't going to damage. We would need ages for that. We would need facts for that.